I think channeling is for a lot of people. It sounds like very big, like not everybody can do
Unattainable.
it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like it's unattainable to most, but
But everybody can do it, right?
everybody does do it from time to time because everybody at some point in their life experiences moments where they're completely in the flow. Where, whether even if what you do is sewing or, even if you're a basketball player or you're a musician or whatever it is, you get into this flow state where you don't even feel like it's you doing it anymore. It's like being done through you.
Hello. Today, I'm honored to welcome Daniel Scranton to the podcast. Daniel is a spiritual teacher, an author, and a trance channeler. I hope I'm saying that right, Daniel. And you have been sharing messages from higher dimensional beings and collectives since 2010, 2012. Is that right?
2010, I started channeling, yeah.
And Daniel channels entities as the ninth dimensional Arcturian Council, Pleiadians, Archangels, Joshua, Michael, and Thymus. Is that right? Do I spell that right?
Thymus, yeah, that's how it's said, yeah.
We say Thymus in Holland. And
Wow.
you're the author of several books on Ascension, and you're one of the most prolific channels I know, because you channel every day on your YouTube channel, and it's every day on your website, and people can either see that or read that in your newsletter. I'm so very proud you're here, Daniel. It's nice to have you in our studio. I thought our Dutch and Belgium audience, that would be really nice for them to get to know you a little bit better. And am I saying this correct, Daniel? If I say you're a trance channeler?
Well, actually, I am conscious while I'm channeling. It just looks like he must be gone during that because of all the movements and stuff. And I like to keep my eyes closed. It helps me to focus. But I'm very aware of what's being said while I'm channeling.
Yeah, and first time I saw you channeling, I saw you're tuning in or getting ready to channel, and you have very specific movements and sounds, and I found that fascinating. From what I heard, you before you started channeling, you were an atheist, and it took some time for you to before you started to channel, and that was that 23? No, that wasn't 23 years ago, right? That you started in 2010.
Well, I woke up though, so I was an atheist for probably less than 10 years, and then around 10 years I would say I was atheist, and then I woke up around 2000. I'm not exactly sure if it was 99 or 2000, but I remember it was Deepak Chopra that woke me up. I remember exactly why and how and all that stuff. And I just went down that rabbit hole of spirituality from there, got into everything, eventually found channeling. Channeled messages seemed to be the most profound to me. Conversations with God was my first big one. Then the Seth books, and then Abraham. And once I got into Abraham, I was like, oh, I can actually go see this woman channeling live. I'm definitely going to do that. So I started doing that, and then following her around the whole world and cruise ships and stuff. And then in 2010, everything changed for me. I started to have all these weird experiences, including those involuntary movements that I make that I never decided on myself. It was always like the spirit moved me, And so that was the first thing that led me to really believe something really strange and interesting was happening to me. But of course, I was very familiar with channeling. So the idea that I was channeling sort of struck me pretty early on as like, oh, this could be leading to me channeling. But at that time, I didn't think like I do now, which is that as soon as you feel the energy, you're channeling it. And eventually you figure out in a very unconscious way, like you don't know how you're figuring it out, but you eventually figure out how to speak for that energy.
And now, what happens during a channeling session? How does it feel for you?
Esther Hicks did such a wonderful job of describing it that I like to borrow her analogy for it. She says it's like having your toe in a light socket, because it really is like there's this extra energy present. It's not overwhelming to the point where you can't handle it. You can't, you have to shake it off somehow. It's more like you're being held kind of in this energy, and it's running through you. And then, somehow, for some reason, I think the body interprets it also as like something strange, something foreign. So a lot of channelers will speak as though they're speaking with an accent while they're channeling, which is different than their normal accent. My voice tends to change in its tone. So I don't really sound like this when I'm channeling. If I'm channeling a more masculine guide, it gets much lower and deeper. And then if it's a feminine group or guide, it gets higher, much higher. And yeah, like I said, all the movements are involuntary. All the tones were involuntary. Everything just happened. Even light language happened while on a massage table, just receiving a massage, just words start coming out of me. I'm like, what is this? I didn't know, but I had already been channeling for 6 months. So it wasn't that big of a surprise, but I didn't have the word or the terminology light language till later that year, like 6 months later, I found out that's what it was.
I usually see women doing light language, not a lot of guys. Maybe it's just my internet bubble.
Oh, you know what? I never thought of that before. I know there's at least a few.
Yeah,
but
sure.
It's absolutely true that now that I think of it, it's a lot of women doing light language, not a lot of men.
Yeah, I have I have like 3 of your light language MP3s. You have so many products you can buy on your website and to assist you in many ways. And so I heard a few of your light language recordings, and if I can feel them, then like how do you say that? I accept
It's
them.
working. Yeah.
Yeah, it was working. Yeah. I like somebody else I know using light language is JJ, activations with JJ, and I always like her stuff. I don't know whether you know her, but
I may have run across her stuff somewhere.
I think. Yeah. Anyway. So you channel every day. You have a message every day on your YouTube, and we can see you on Facebook, on Instagram. Do you feel like you have a purpose here to assist humanity with these messages, or?
I made it so easy on myself in this life, really, seriously, because there's so many people that I channel for were saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what my purpose is. Yeah. And here I am, like 14 years just doing it. Like it was so easy for me to fall into this and start doing it and know that it was what I was supposed to do next. That I never questioned it. I did question whether I was good at it.
Yeah.
And good enough to put it out there. And then for the first couple of years, that's why. I wasn't putting those messages out there, which is where you got that 2012 number from, is because for the first couple of years, I was just doing it for a small group of people, friends and people who had become friends, basically. And then I had a few clients. It's funny because in 2012, I had like a series of Belgian clients in a row. I thought, wow, I'm really huge at Belgian, but didn't last. And yeah, I wasn't really doing it that much publicly till 2012. And that was also the year that I started to channel the daily messages that I put out on the internet and on my website and stuff, because I realized I needed the practice. I wanted to practice doing it every day. And then also it's something Abraham has done for a long time, or Esther with Abraham, they put out a daily message. Theirs is usually coming from a book she wrote, or, a book she channeled, or one of the workshops she's done, whereas I'm channeling them just for that purpose of speaking to the collective about whatever's needed. And I get people saying to me almost every day, that I'm working, they'll say, oh, it's like the message was created just for me in that moment. Like it was exactly what I needed to hear. Or, I had been thinking about that topic. I asked the question and then it came via you, the answer. So it's funny how that works, because as the channeler, you don't know that, and you just have to kind of trust that what you're doing is good. That's hitting home.
Yeah. You teach channeling, yes? You teach channeling in courses and online and
yeah.
How long do you do that already?
I started doing that in 2013. Actually, the woman who kind of was my first student, she's definitely European. She may be Belgian or from Holland. Dutch, I guess is what you call it. Yeah. I don't remember, but her name was Lean. So maybe that you can tell me if that's
maybe she's gonna watch this. That would be really nice.
She sails around a lot with her husband or boyfriend. They sail around the world. But yeah, she convinced me to teach her to channel. And I liked it. I thought, this is good. I like doing this. Let me do a class. And then class became the beginner's class. And I did another class called the advanced class. And then I created a master course. And then I decided to do this super long course where we meet on Zoom 2 hours a month. And I give people enough to go on for that month to practice with, so they can get gradually better, and hopefully by the end be channeling all kinds of beings.
Yeah, nice. I think channeling is for a lot of people. It sounds like very big, like not everybody can do it.
Yeah,
sorry,
like it's unattainable to most.
But everybody can do it, right?
Everybody does do it from time to time, because everybody at some point in their life experiences moments where they're completely in the flow, where, whether, even if what you do is sewing, or, even if you're a basketball player, or you're a musician, or whatever it is, you get into this flow state where you don't even feel like it's you doing it anymore. It's like being done through you. Or I've had so many people, including my 80-year-old father, tell me he'll be talking to someone and suddenly it feels like the words he's getting are not coming from him. Suddenly people, when giving advice, when helping a friend or family member out, they'll feel like, or life coaches say this a lot, they'll say, I didn't know what I was saying, or I didn't plan to say any things I said, and they just came through me. So a lot of people experience it in a lot of different ways. So when I teach people to channel, it's just about teaching them how to access that state on purpose.
To raise your vibration?
That's it, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
key. Yeah.
Do
And it's
you?
different for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in what sense?
I mean, I've got my cats here. Both of
Yeah.
them are one's sitting next to me, one's on the floor. All I have to do is look at them or pet them, play with them. That's raising my vibration. I have a daughter, same thing, just watching her
I
laugh
can even
and be
feel
a
the
joy.
vibration going up just by
Yeah.
listening to you when you're
Yeah.
just saying these things.
Being in nature for me does it automatically. Some people, it's going to be something else. Maybe someone who likes working on cars. So that person goes out in their garage or working on their car, they're raising their vibration. It's just, everybody's different.
Yeah, because it is when you sometimes when I cook, I'm in the zone because I don't think. I don't think anymore. I stop
Yeah.
thinking, and if my mind wants to intercede, I just remind myself that I know everything I'm gonna do, so I don't need my mind. I just need to be in the moment. It's
Yeah. Yeah. It's
just
true.
one
And
of these
it's,
things.
it's, it's like dancing is like that too. If you ever start dancing without realizing you're dancing and then you catch yourself doing it, as soon as you catch yourself doing it, you start to become conscious of it and then a little bit more self-conscious, and then it feels more labored. But it's a very natural kind of channeling, dancing, that kind of movement.
So kids are better at it, I guess. I mean, I'm in just um being in that state where their vibration is high because they are fully in the moment and can be full of joy, I guess. But
Yeah.
it
Apparently they are very much more connected to the non-physical. Bashar says this until they're like 7 years old,
yeah. And then they adjust, don't
Yeah.
they? I think they adjust because they see their parents or society not going another way, so they adjust. They stop seeing auras, for instance, or yeah, they
Yeah.
adjust.
Man.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah.
So so from what I hear, you have a very blessed life, Daniel Scranton, where you have a purpose. You do what you love, and you
Oh,
assist many people in many ways.
yeah.
I've been following you for a while, and my first you must hear this a lot. Um, the first time I saw your channel, I saw you going up with the arm
Mhm.
and
That helps.
that caught my attention, and I was so charmed by it. By just
You're
you
fully.
being you. Um, what I want to say was you have a few themes, recurring themes. You must have more than I know, but one of them is assisting Earth in um, going into this 5-dimensional
Yeah.
state or in ascension. And do you feel you what do you think that is? What's your mental picture of us going there? Is it going to be in your lifetime? Is it
Mhm.
how um, my English, my Dutch hat? Um, how would you define that the process
Eh,
we're going through for the next few
well,
years?
yeah, it's, I would say that actually extraterrestrial contact will play a big role in it because ascension is also expansion. It's like you're moving out in terms of your sense of self, and as your sense of self becomes inclusive of these galactic beings and realizing that they're a part of our history and that we actually help to co-create some of them unwittingly, but involuntarily, a lot of people realize that they didn't say in this life, yeah, I would like to donate some eggs or some sperm to co-create these hybrid beings, but this is what's been going on. It's going to expand a lot of people's minds. We're going to learn from them some better ways of running our systems of education, health, government, finance, all those big systems we have. And yeah, it's going to get people to think differently about our place in the universe, our relationship with source. All these things are necessary in order to become who we're really meant to become. Like I said, I had this very fortunate moment of discovering Deepak Chopra in around the year 2000, where it put me on a path. And I feel lucky to have woken up that long ago. Not everybody had that kind of path for themselves, planned that kind of life, or chose that kind of life for themselves. So everybody's in a different place with their level of consciousness right now, but it's all going to get much more. We're all going to have this quick kind of rapid need to keep up, with all the energies and all the information and everything that'll be coming in. And that's probably also why so many more people had to start channeling, is to prepare humanity for all of this, for what's to come and what's happened right now.
Do you see a timeline for this? Like the time period? Do you feel like that's going to be like in the next 10 years where aliens sorry?
5 years.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Bashar is quite went through the entire internet saying maybe 2027 or something, or
Yeah. Yeah, he said it could have been delayed a little bit,
yeah.
but it's also possible that it won't be delayed. It's also possible that more and more people are going to be awakened by their guides, awakened by their higher self. Like, there's so many ways in which we can awaken. And I think a lot of people are searching out there for something.
A lot of people. There's going to be people that won't wake up, but many will. I think in the next few years.
Because obviously a lot of people will die, so that's happening every moment of every day. So it's, but the new ones coming in are much more likely to be interested in ETs and, being in a higher vibrational state, and they're rebelling against the school systems and the system of economy that we have too, where people find it problematic that these kids today don't want to work. But I think it's freaking great, because, who wants to go work at a job they don't want just because they can have money to buy stuff they don't need? It's like,
yeah. That these soulless companies work for these soulless companies who only want to make money and have zero love. Yeah. System busters. I think breaking the system, and good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is the biggest challenge that people face right now during their ascension journey?
Misinformation. No, I mean, that's a problem. Obviously, in the new age, there's so much out there. Even things we thought were really just absolutes, like karma, like I'm just paying off my past life karma, is such a big one for people that I think they really need to let go of. And even quantum physics is proving to us that time really is simultaneous. There's not this, there was a before in a previous life, and now in this life is now, and it's all happening now. So we're all connected to these other selves and these other bodies, but really what matters most is now. And obviously you can create karma for yourself in a lifetime, and then what you put out is what you get back, like Bashar says, or, it's a law, but that whatever you're going to be thinking about and saying, it'll come back. But there are major issues being faced in the new age that cause people to be confused. They don't know who to trust. Who should I listen to? I thought this person was good, and then I found out this. And so in a nutshell, the biggest problem is that spirituality has become way too much about what's happening out there, not enough about what's happening in here. As soon as a person realizes that everything that happens in here is the most important thing, then they can actually let go of the confusion, which is all mind oriented. All confusion is happening in the mind. They can start listening to what's going on in the heart. Like I said, you look at someone you love, you touch someone you love. I've got my cat right here. You can't see her. But as you follow your heart, that's really old school spirituality. You're guided from within. You get inspired thoughts. You get impulses, ideas coming. You start to trust more your own instincts and let go of all that stuff that's out there on the internet about who's doing what behind the scenes, behind closed doors, what's really happening here, what's really happening there. That's too much focus on stuff that you have no control over. We only have control really over how we respond to information, So people have to pay more attention to whether something resonates or not within them and whether it feels good. That's something Abraham always says. Well, if it doesn't feel good, it's not true when you hear it. Even if it's a thought you're thinking in your own head, like, I'm not worthy of that. That doesn't feel good. It's not true. So we all need to be directed more inwardly to what's going on in here, to know everything exists inside here, that we're projecting out our reality from within and from our vibration. And then it becomes a lot easier, a lot simpler. And as it so happens, you don't have to be a channeler in order to live a life's purpose. You can be working at one of those, department stores or one of those places we were talking about before, and still you're there spreading joy, brightening people's day, asking them how they are, complimenting them on something, like all these things that we can do, are listening to your coworkers compassionately, all the things we can do to spread joy and love and be in peace and bring more of that to wherever you go and whatever you do. And you're a light worker. That's all it takes. And then the gifts will come. Eventually, people will tap into something, and then they'll have to get past their fears and their doubts about whether they can do it or should be doing it. But it's available to everyone, this enlightened state of being where you find your own niche, you find what you love in life and how you can serve humanity, and then you just keep doing it, and things will work out. I think my life is proof of that, because things changed so much for me in that year. From that year on, 2010, I got to live so many amazing things because I said yes to this gift,
Nice. I like the picture you paint. I believe that it's true that I, there's so much beauty in simplicity also, but when people waking up, I know that usually they ask a lot of questions outside of themselves, like, where do I come from, who's my guardian angel, stuff like that, and always outside. And unless you go inside, I think for a while that's really nice and really great questions, to have, and you want to get the answers from outside of you, but after a while you learn to
Yeah.
go within. I believe. But
Yeah, it's basically about, I think, you find some really good teachings, some really good practices, because people also need to understand their emotions and how to deal with them and what they're about and all these, their thoughts and how powerful they are. People need to understand all of those things so much more. And that's why teachings are so much more important than information. But a lot of people do go on the internet seeking that information about what star seed am I? Am I a star seed? All those kinds of things that are not as important as being able to do this work that we all eventually need to do to sort of refine our vibration and make sure that what we're offering is what we want to see reflected to us in the world.
It's easy to get distracted, yes, or maybe even
Manipulated.
or get. But
Yeah.
When Corona happened like a few years ago, I remember being busy with what's going on, what's happening, who's doing this or whatever and stuff, and until that faded away, and then my life became much more quiet, and I let go of my views of left and right and who's I don't know, all the stuff that takes up so much time, or also so much emotions, and gets you distracted from your peace, your inner peace, and yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. The inner peace is so important, and it is so easy to get riled up over things when you give them your attention, and then you start to think, well, who's to blame for this? Who's behind this and all those types of things. And you've got somebody to point a finger at, and it just doesn't, that's when at a certain point, hopefully when people go down that road, they eventually realize like, well, how is this about me and my response to this? And what can I change? Because that's all we can really do is change ourselves. We can't, no matter how much we shake our fists or spread things on the internet about this, that, or the other thing, we can only really change ourselves.
yeah, nice. So you get so much information through you, like every day. Um, does this always resonate with you? Does it has to resonate
I
with
think
you?
so.
Yeah, I think so too. Or
I
just
think it
one.
has to come through me. And I think that's why you see so many different channelers channeling so many different things. Is because we all have our filters and our beliefs and things that we're focusing upon in our free time. So those tend to be reflected in the channeled messages that we bring through, because every channeler is channeling energy first. And none of us have a secret decoder ring, so it's all happening on this subconscious level, that energy then turns into words, and those words have to make sense, and they have to be presented in a way that, is logical. And so you don't really know how you're doing it, but you do know. I think a lot of channelers know that like they're a part of the channeling, and there's really even a deep trance channeler is using their vocabulary, they're using their phrasing and their analogies and things to present the information that's coming to them as these energy blocks. Esther calls them blocks of thought, Esther Hicks. Daryl and Bashar have also said the same thing, that like, it's not that Bashar's speaking through Daryl. It's that he's presenting Daryl with this energy that Daryl then has to download and interpret. And he said he once got a download. He felt it took like 3 seconds to get the download, but then it took like 3 hours to write it all out. And it was a question about Bashar's spaceship, I think. So, yeah, so that's how it works. And it's very, very true that you get a lot of different perspectives because there's always a filter that's coming through that is the channeler. And one of the reasons I really love Paul Selig, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, but he sometimes he doesn't resonate with what Melchizedek's saying, or he doesn't understand it. And he asks all these questions, and then Melchizedek like explains it so that Paul will get it. And it's really fun and fascinating to watch him work.
Yeah, I can feel that when you say that.
Yeah.
Yes. Would you mind channeling a bit?
No, I don't mind. Would you like it to just be a general statement to the support?
No, I was thinking.
Or did you want to ask some questions?
Well, maybe one or two. I was thinking. I have two thoughts. One of them is that a lot of these channeled messages they are about America or about the world. I was wondering maybe if it's interesting to share a bit about Europe, since we live in Europe. But what I really feel is that I want to ask those questions that so that the answers can be of the most assistance in this process of ascension and moving into 5D. So that's actually what I want most.
Okay.
So what do you think?
Yeah, you could. I think they'll come in. They'll probably just go right to you and just have you ask your questions, because people can get a general message from the beings I channel any day they want to. They can look it up on my website or something. So yeah, we'll just get your questions answered.
Well, yeah, I that okay.
Yeah,
it's exciting. Well,
I'll do the Arcturian Council.
Thanks.
Well, the Arcturian Council. Well, pleased with all. Hello. It is wonderful to be here with you and to have this opportunity to chat. You may ask your questions.
Yes. What role do you play in the ascension process of us humans?
Primarily, it is through the teachings that we offer. However, we are also very interested in offering you energies to assist you. We, along with others in the non-physical realm, do like to offer non-physical energies and transmit them to you directly as individuals and as the collective of humanity that you are. We are assisting through coming together with your guides and your higher selves to discuss what would be best for each of you individually and for the collective. And we are constantly thinking about how we can become better teachers, better healers, better guides, better offerers of those energies.
And how do you perceive us people and our development?
We see you as doing wonderfully. We see you as having created for yourselves very challenging circumstances there on Earth, lots of souls incarnating all together, all at once on a very diverse planet with a lot of challenges that you were sort of born into in your lives. And we see more and more people caring about the things that are important. And that is a good sign. We see more compassion for those who are suffering, whether it's through war or natural disaster or famine or drought. There's much more compassion being given to nature and to the animals now, as well as there's much more of a type of awareness than there's ever been before of your relationship to these beings, the consciousness of these beings, and the importance of the trees and the oceans and the animals to your well-being and your mental health and the way that you operate as a collective.
What would you like us to understand about our own power and potential as humans?
Well, first of all, it's our number one goal for everyone to realize that they are a part of source energy, that they never left source, that all of this is happening within source, and that we are all connected because we are all from that same one being. We couldn't possibly be disconnected or separate from each other. And so we desire for everyone to know who they really are, who everyone else really is, and that everything affects everything else. And when you know that, when you realize that you have that power and that you are that divine being of love and light, you can start to operate in the world as such. You can start to think more along those lines of, is this something that will affect the collective in a good way, or will it affect others in a not so good way? And you can make your more informed choices as a result.
Thank you. I have another question about purpose. I guess many people are looking for their purpose in life. Do we all have one?
Many people are looking for that purpose because they usually think that the purpose is something that they do, that it's something outside of themselves that they accomplish or that they could hang their hat on and say, look what I made, look what I did. But really, you are the purpose in this life. It is in that awakening, in that becoming of your higher self, a being of higher consciousness. That's the purpose. That's what will bring you all together, which is a purpose that everyone has. Everyone's purpose who is on earth at this time is to unify the collective, is to become one human collective. Whether people know that or not about themselves, that is what they are there to do. And then you can go about uniting humanity with the galaxy, with the other beings in the galaxy, and living in a unified galaxy. So there's a lot of purposes in just being there and living one's life and having the relationships with other people. And we're not just talking about romantic relationships. We mean every relationship that you have with every other person. That's what's important. It's what's going on inside of you. It's how you relate to one another and your planet and the plants and the animals. And then if you feel compelled, if you feel a desire to do something, to put something out there into the world, that will be secondary. That will be like a byproduct of that work that you've done on yourself. But it's not the primary reason why you're there. It's not like some people came just to write a book, or some people came just to build a building or a healing center or something like that. It is about you becoming more of you, and that automatically raises the level of consciousness of the entire collective of which you are a part.
Thank you. Can I ask one more question?
Yes, you can.
I was thinking about the speed of life that it seems like our time used to have like 24 hours in a day, and these 24 hours seem like 16 these days, and I feel even people that they try to be conscious about their life and even about their heart or how they even about their relations, they feel like they have very little time, or at least we're adjusting to the speed of time. And what can you advise us? That I'm one of them, but there's many.
Yes. Well, the way to keep up with the faster moving energies is ironically to slow down. It's to slow down, it's to reassure oneself constantly that there will be enough time to get that done, that sometimes things get done on their own or magically with the help of someone, some elves that come in the middle of the night or some fairies, some way, somehow that will get done and that will get done, and things always get done. And there's always enough time, and people reassuring themselves of those things is important when they feel that time crunch. But whatever's in front of you in the moment, that's what's most important. And that's what everyone also needs to know.
Okay, thanks so much. I got one more. It's a big question. I think. Is it okay if I ask this one?
Well, Daniel has a client he needs to get to very shortly, so a big question is probably not going to work.
Well, I don't
Given the
need to be
time
greedy.
constraint.
So I'm good. I'm good.
Very good.
Thank you so much for
Yes, you're
for your
very
energies.
welcome. We are the Arcturian Council, and we have enjoyed connecting with you.
Thanks so much.
Gordon, I do have to go.
I know.
Sorry,
I know. But
I was
thanks so
late
much,
for this,
Daniel.
everybody.
Thanks so much for being here.
Yes.
Thanks for your time.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Daniel, for everything. Bye bye.